was April 30th, 2023. We normally take day trips up here to the Sequoias, well, to the Sequoias, to the Siskiyous, to, you know, just do day trips to explore certain lumber roads. You know, we will cut out lumber roads to get down, you know, deep into the bush, and just one of our normal trips, and we come up to a snowdrift or a snowbank, and couldn't drive no farther on the good roads. We stopped and got out, thinking the tracks we saw were just human, but once we saw the toes, then we knew it was something other than human.
Here's some more prints. Where does this one start? Oh, here's the first one.
Just another day trip into the Siskiyous, which we didn't think, you know, we were going to find anything, but it found us, really.
And it was actually Kerry that saw it first. He goes, wow, look, there's toes in this. And we started looking at it, and, you know, we saw like some snow tracks of, you know, these footprints that went up like over 100 yards and then came down, and there was absolutely no other prints there, because people had parked a few hundred yards behind there, and you could tell some people had played in the snow and this and that. So we went through a couple little spots where we could get through with four-wheel drive, and then we hit that spot and we realized we couldn't go any further. So we jumped out and saw that. Fortunately, I did film like a 23-second video, because I thought, I don't want to ruin this before we start stepping all over the place. And, you know, typical of what happens when you find something like this, we had tape measures in the truck, and we didn't even think about pulling them out. We just were so, like, surprised to see this, because it was like a 5-foot gate 100 yards up, and then solid 8 to 10-foot gate, like it had maybe heard Todd's truck. I'm not sure, because they were so fresh. And that's the thing that impressed me the most, because if it was just some kind of print that someone had made, like a, you know, they would all look the same, but you could tell that each step was different, like the way it hit the depth of the snow. And that's what impressed me the most, was the fact that there's just no way that it would be so different for every step, and yet it's the same exact creature. You could tell by the prints. These footprints here are at least 8 feet apart. Even if I was in a full run, I couldn't do this.
Yeah, look at this. Go. The small one's coming up, and the big one's going down.
There wasn't different sizes, it was just one size?
One size.
Yeah, you could tell it was the same animal, but if it was a wooden, you know, cut out print, every print would be the same, but the drag points, the way the snow fell, it was just, you could tell it was the same animal, but a different, you know, because, you know, snow reacts to different, you know, however you step in it, you know, you're not going to step, every step you make isn't going to be exactly the same. It's going to be a little different depending on the terrain, the snow, what's underneath it. But it was, it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, and especially the running down the hill, it was so gigantic. The gate,
and the gate was so, even going up was 4 feet plus.
Yeah.
You couldn't even, and if someone did make it,
they'd fall over.
You'd fall over, and you see other, you know, handprints or other footprints, and there was nothing. It was just prints going up, prints coming down. So it was pretty
Was there any other sign besides the prints, like maybe along the edge of the go road that no tree breaks, nothing like that?
No, we didn't see any tree breaks. It was just a bank on the one side. It was like mile 10 up there. Is where it is.
Right at mile 10.
Literally at mile 10.
We parked. I saw my truck right at the mile 10 marker, and you see there's another road going off to the side. That's right where it started, and it went up for 100 yards, and then the asphalt, the snow ended, and the asphalt for another 50 yards, and then more, then snow just continued for.
And we looked for prints above there, and there wasn't any. That's when I heard that noise, that crash on the side, because I was going to see if it had continued up. And it is interesting because a couple weeks later we went up, and we got to mile 13 because the snow was starting to melt fast. And it was like 2 feet deep, and I went up there a ways, and I found prints very similar, but they were much older.
Probably 2 weeks.
So I took a couple pictures. They're less definitive because, sun and rain and all that stuff. But I did get some weird vibes because I got out of sight of these guys, and they were just talking, another friend of ours, and I got up like 400 or 500 yards above them. And I was getting some kind of weird vibes, and so I kind of listened to those when I get those. Maybe I was scared, but I thought I heard a little whispering or something, and it just kind of freaked me out.
Was there anything that led you to believe that maybe it was walking or running, or any ideas on that?
Running, the tracks going downhill, we figured it was running because the gate was 8 feet. Going up was 4 to 5 feet, so we figured it walked up, but then ran down, or ran down and walked up. I mean, who knows which one was first?
I think it was walking up and hurt his truck because he has a diesel truck. I think it was walking up, and then it just hurt us and ran down and went into the woods because we looked all over for snow prints off the side of the road. But if you go to mile 10, you'll see on the right side going up. It's a huge drop off, and I was looking for anything that showed.
And you see, the snow is disturbed, but there's nothing definitive saying if there was anything here except snow.
I also seen a picture of the handprint.
Yeah,
that was further down.
The handprint or knuckle print was where the road on the left-hand side, there was an old logging road. There was like a little pull-out. That's where the knuckle prints were, and there was footprints too, but it wasn't a trackway. It was just like a couple prints here, knuckle prints here, a couple prints here. It wasn't a trackway. It was just like it was walking around.
And it was disturbed by human prints too, so we didn't spend as much time with that because of the fact that if you have all this other, it's like kind of damaging the evidence. But this section was different.
Yeah.
Right. And the other prints you saw that was further up, do you think it could have been from the same individual?
They were the same size, but it was a couple weeks older, so it was kind of melted. It wasn't.
Kind of saw the toe though a little. I'll have to show you the pictures. I took 2, and it looks real similar. It was the same size. It just is one of those things where I'm not going to say something unless it's like so clear. But these prints, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, I've always been kind of like Les Stroud. I've always said I want to see it to believe it, but I've had a lot of weird things happen. But this kind of made me, seeing these prints, I was like, whoa, there's something to this, because what 7'5" human, which they could never have done that gait even downhill at a full sprint.
Without falling over.
What 7'5" human would run barefooted 100 yards up? And plus, you have your arch.
The depth of the.
You have your archway.
We were jumping on the snow in our boots, and we got an inch down. These things, when in the deepest snow, was going down 4 to 6 inches. So I mean, there's no way. You would have to weigh 500 pounds to make that imprint in the snow. I wish I would have. If it ever happened again, cutting the print in half with like a shovel, and seeing from the midpoint of the print back was flat, but then going towards the snow went down, and it was just you can see a little bit in the pictures, but not much. But you can see when you see it in real life, the toes go down, and then they come up, and then you see the drag points in the snow, and it's like that's not something that, you know, if someone's faking it, you're gonna make you're gonna make the drag points and the toes go deeper than the heel.
Maybe I'm leading you a little bit here, but would you say it did kind of like a pulling motion with its forefoot?
Yeah.
And a push off with the
It's
forefoot?
like this. It went off like this, and then just drug the toes. So the snow, when it went into the snow, you know, the top of the snow was like this, so it goes like this, and it drags it out.
You know where else you see that clearly? The Patterson-Gimlin film.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can see that the
In
foot
the
goes
sand?
just like this, lift up. And
Oh,
when it
yeah.
pushes off, it does that
Yeah, the
kind
toes.
of sort of grip. So
Yeah, and I think, to me, the biggest conclusive proof is when another well-known Bigfooter sent his friend down from Happy Camp,
Yeah, Larry.
and he verified him, and he told this person, Bobo actually, that it was the best prints he had seen in his entire life. And so that was like almost a
And he's
day
been,
later after we had seen
He was a Bigfoot Bobo for 40 years, doing, you know, off and on doing research and stuff, and he said this was the best prints he'd ever seen.
And these prints were like, as far as I'm concerned, the only snow prints out of Bluff Creek that I think have
Ever.
been documented.
Well, that's our goal this next winter, is camping right there on the Go Road, and I mean, getting as far as we can and just camp there and walk up and down and really research that. Because I mean, Doug says in the wintertime there's no one up here because I mean the snow, you can't get up past 6 miles up the Go Road. So it's like a free, easy,
It's like a freeway.
Yeah.
I think
Bigfoot
it's a
freeway.
It's a Bigfoot freeway.
They can
That's
go up
right.
and down and not worry about people because there's no one up here. You can't get up with a full drive truck.
Is there any chance that these might have been hoaxed? Do you think anybody could have gone up here and hoaxed you? What do you think?
I don't think it's possible
There's no
because
way.
okay, you put it on a snowshoe or something, right? You put this form. How are you going to do that? Have you ever tried snowshoes? You can't even step more than, you know, like a bear does or something, a couple feet, if that. So how in the world did someone have nothing else, just pure snow, a solid 4 to 5 foot gait uphill, absolutely undisturbed everywhere else? They hit that spot and then they run down the hill.
An 8 foot gate.
And it's 8 to 10 feet.
And there's no other disturbance in the rest of the snow. I mean, it's impossible.
I don't see how anyone could have done it.
Even if you're a 7 foot tall human, you would have to be 500 or 600 pounds to get the depth in the snow too.
Because I saw a picture of somebody, I don't know who it was in the photo, but they were walking on the snow. They were standing on the snow. I was like, when I saw that picture, I was like, okay, there's a full grown man on top of the snow, and he's not even, I can see the bottom of his soles of his shoes. And he's
Yeah,
not,
we were
that
going
was
down
scary.
an inch.
Okay.
And we're jumping up and hitting the snow. We're going an inch. And I'm 205, so, and I'm going an inch down. And these prints are 4 to 6
some of them were
inches.
this deep
They have to be 500 pounds.
or even deeper. There was one, like you could tell the toe, and it looks like it's like 8 inches deep. Like it really hit a soft spot.
Now, my last question is, when you found the tracks, did you guys look for hairs possibly in the tracks, or?
Actually, there was one of the
There was
prints.
some dirt and stuff, but
One of the prints. Well, I'm sure you got it. There was a print with. It could have been a hair. It could have been a pine needle, but it wasn't straight. It was kind of like this. So it could have been a hair. It could have been old man's beard. I mean, who knows what it was, but. At the time, we didn't see it, but when I went to the picture, oh look, there's a little squiggly thing in there. But
definitely going to be more aware of this.
yeah,
stuff.
we weren't. We were so excited just to see the toes, the prints. We were like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah, never had anything like that before because it was like evidence that was like, wow, this is something real here. And I've shown it to friends that are completely skeptics, and they're like, oh, this is making a believer out of me.
Yeah.
Because they just said, look at the definition of those toes. I mean, they're so perfect.
That's why we think it was for hours, if not
Minutes.
20 minutes. I mean, it was.
Or even right then.
It was the toes are just and the details of the prints are so fresh. We think it was I mean, really, really fresh. Hours.